Right now, it's hard to say what I want my legacy to be, what I want people to say when I'm long gone. I want people to look.
The present moment, it's difficult to get out whatever I maintain that my inheritance should be. You understand what I maintain that individuals should say. When I'm a distant memory, I maintain that individuals should view at me as an all-out performer and a decent individual, so you realize, well, talk a couple of years down the line, and we'll see where my head is at then. Yet, that is the thing I need for right now. I realize that that was a homicide. You understand what I'm talking about. That was a Ulmer, regardless of whether individuals know it, since God don't individuals. You understand what I'm talking about. We individuals know it or not. I could dive deep, yet a many individuals I would need to truly bring who you understand what I'm talking about for what I realized, and she just was trimmed down in the prime of her life, and it's so uncalled for. And Mary J. Blige has uncovered a few dim privileged insights about Aaliyah's demise that were beforehand obscure to the media, and it seems like the conditions encompassing her demise were considerably more vile than we've been made to trust. In an as-of-late re-emerged interview, Mary J. Blige called Aaliyah's passing a profound homicide, hint that she was forfeited by the business. In the meantime, tales have surfaced that Jay-Z was enamored with Aaliyah and attempted to make her his sovereign, yet when she rejected, he chose to supplant her with Beyonce Truly, which purportedly incorporates coordinating a mishap that took her out individuals. Likewise, except Diddy had an impact in this and assisted cover it up. A few industry insiders with having openly condemned the story that Aaliyah's passing was a mishap, guaranteeing there were a lot hazier powers affecting everything. Except who were these more obscure powers? Were they individuals behind what Mary J. Blige called Aaliyah's otherworldly homicide? What did they need to acquire by accepting out somebody as lovely and gifted as Aaliyah? How about we figure out that I would get it done and that I could make it happen, and I genuinely accept that regardless of what anyone said. And I proceeded with, I said, fine, you don't need me, another person will, and I will demonstrate it. I will get out there, and I will be a star, and I truly implied it. And you must have that temper, you must have that sort of certainty to make it in this industry, or you won't make it. So, I got it done, and I'm exceptionally glad for the way that I did. Before she kicked the bucket, Aaliyah was, as she would prefer to, becoming one of the main music symbols of her age. She had proactively denoted her place as the princess of R&B and was one of the most monetarily effective female craftsmen of the last part of the 90s. Yet, her flood of progress came crashing down while, as per official reports, her plan crashed in transit to Florida in the wake of recording a music video in the Bahamas. The authority story appeared to be sufficiently grievous, yet fans didn't get it for 1 second. Individuals accept that Aaliyah was killed, and the plane accident story was only a concealment in light of the fact that a more critical gander at the occasions paving the way to the accident uncovers a few evil subtleties that don't make any sense. A fast excursion through a world of fond memories will assist us with understanding the reason why Aaliyah fans accept Aaliyah was focused on from the second Aaliyah rose to fame at the youthful age of 15 with the arrival of her presentation collection. Age ain't only a number, it appears. There have forever been vultures circumnavigating her, trusting that the ideal opportunity will dip down. One of those vultures was R. Kelly, whom she met when she endorsed with Blackground Records her uncle Barry Hankerson's record name. R. Kelly immediately turned into Aaliyah's guide and partner, and, surprisingly, helped her produce her Age Ain't Only a Number collection. Yet, it didn't stop there. He made their relationship a stride further by furtively wedding her when she was 15 and he was 27. Yet, her folks learned about the marriage, whose permit recorded Aaliyah's age as 18 and annulled it. Now, to any parent, a 27-year elderly person supplicating on your child, young lady, could make you so frantic that you essentially attempt to get specialists included, not Aaliyah's folks. However, they purportedly acknowledged installment in privileges to R. Kelly's initial 3 collections in return for not squeezing charges against him. So it appears to be Aaliyah's folks fundamentally offered her to R. Kelly. Yeah. But what might be said about her uncle Barry Hankerson? Clearly he needed to have been liable for Aaliyah's well-being since she was a minor. His niece and his right well-off base Barry Hankerson isn't unequivocally the best individual to associate with. His ex Gladys Knight portrayed him as a malevolent man who attempted to make their guardianship fight as troublesome as conceivable. After their separation, Barry has additionally been portrayed as an obsessive person who never let craftsmen under him M reserved the options to their music. For instance, vocalist JoJo once emerged to portray her horrendous encounters with Blackground Records, where they put her on a severe 500-calorie diet to keep her thin, didn't permit her to reserve the privileges to her music, and, surprisingly, pushed her to liquor and substance misuse. Tony Braxton likewise sued Barry for $10 million, guaranteeing he generally put his monetary advantages in front of hers, so he's an inside-and-out obscure person. 4 days before Aaliyah went to the Bahamas, Barry supposedly went to court and took out some kind of repayment insurance that expressed that if either Aaliyah or any of the team individuals had a mishap during the outing to the Bahamas, his organization wouldn't be liable for it regardless of whether nothing had occurred on that outing. Attempting to shield himself from obligation regarding any unexpected mishaps, including his transgression and niece, is a dubious move, yet the way that Aaliyah engaged in a lamenta blue mishap that ended her life shows that Barr probably realized something planned to go down on that outing, and he either didn't believe it should be followed back to him, or he would have rather not been engaged with it. One way or another, it is an over-the-top occurrence to overlook, particularly in light of the fact that Barry and his Blackground mark have profited from Aaliyah's demise. Barry was purportedly paid $90 million after Aaliyah died anyway. That didn't prevent Blackground Records from keeping Aaliyah's music for more than 20 years after her demise, and declining to deliver it to her bequest. Aaliyah's domain legal counselors needed to participate in an unpleasant 20-year fight with Blackground Records to get them to deliver her music to streaming stages. I mean, how egotistical do you to be to clutch the freedoms to Aaliyah's music a long time after her passing without attempting to respect her memory when she was alive, the one thing she generally needed to recognize as a performer? So the least Barry would have done was make that conceivable, yet no. It prosecuted hauling him for him to at last make the best decision and outline. It seems like the grown-ups in Aaliyah's life, from her folks to her uncle to her perverted men coach, neglected to safeguard her and, surprisingly, prepped her and presented her to mishandle. This makes sense of why Barry Hankerson was apparently saying it was ideal to pass on Aaliyah's passing to God, as opposed to examine it with all that he had previously finished to her, who understands what an examination could have turned up. Now we should discuss the occasions paving the way to Aaliyah's demise. In this meeting from August 21, 2001, Aaliyah talked about how she was set to begin recording the video for her track called Trouble the next day. Under the course of publicity, Williams, who had recently worked with Jay-Z and R. Kelly on D-Day August 22, and Aaliyah was set in Miami, planning to begin recording. Terrifically significant group individuals were accessible, and a green screen had previously been set in the mood for shooting every one of the submerged scenes and dance arrangements. All of a sudden, promotion Williams chose to move the shooting to the Bahamas. This appeared to be bizarre on the grounds that all that they expected to film the video effectively was at that point accessible in Miami, and promotion didn't make sense of his unexpected choice. Likewise, at whatever point Aaliyah was on set, her mom, father, or sibling was typical lie present, so no one could make the most of her. Yet for this Bahamas trip, just Aaliyah and her team, including hair, cosmetics, and security, could make the excursion. On August 23, Aaliyah and her team ventured out to the Bahamas and wrapped up shooting by August 25, so they chose to return that day. Sources uncovered that there was no course of action for transportation, and in any event, when Lenny Kravitz sent a plane for Aaliyah to utilize, promotion Williams removed it. This was exceptionally dubious use in light of the fact that promotion hadn't made any game plans. So how could he remove free transportation? In any case, Aaliyah and her group ultimately got a twin-motor Cessna 402 for the outing. Now, indeed, kind of airplane is intended for conveying freight, not travelers, and the pilot Louis Spirits realized that the plane was not implied for conveying travelers. The contract pilot Louis Key would later uncover that he heard Spirits and the remainder of the group quarreling over whether they ought to get on the plane, on the grounds that between the group individuals and all their things, there would be a lot of weight on the plane for a protected flight. Likewise, the plane was a lot more modest than the one they had shown up with. It would likewise turn out that the pilot Spirits was a law breaker with a crook record whose permit had been suspended. He had fashioned the administrative work that landed